Alright, we are Globo Gym, and today we're going to be showing you squats variations with back squat, front squat, and overhead squat. And I'm Tyler Rosser, and I'll be doing the main talking.
I'm Derek Houston. I'll be demonstrating the front squat.
I'm Nate Blair. I'll be demonstrating the back squat and talking about the overhead squat.
Tyler Colley, and I'll be presenting the overhead squat.
Alright, we're going to begin this with the back squat, and I'm going to have Nate demonstrate it for us. We want to start with bar position on the back. You want to have your hands about shoulder width apart or possibly wider. It's depending on whether or not your shoulder flexibility is there. And you want to, when you get underneath the bar, can you turn the bar for me? If you want to bring for high bar, you want to bring the bar across the traps, tight to your body, kind of dig them in there, and you want your elbows to be pointed down. You don't want them pointed forward underneath the greatest pressure. So your elbows down and then lift off. That's good technique right there. And if you have, for low bars, for a lot of powerlifting, they go with the bar lower on the back to help kind of balance the center of gravity on your body. And show them low bar now. And all you do is just really bring the bar down. You want to have a little bit wider hand placement. And so you can kind of pull those rear delts together, the shoulder blades together like that, and have the bars sitting on top of those rear delts. And it's just lower. It's going to make you have a harder back or arch in your back when you get into your stance. But there it is right there. Alright, the next thing to worry about with the back squat is your foot placement. You want to be almost shoulder width apart and maybe even slightly farther than shoulder width apart, maybe with your toes pointed out. This is all subjective to their own individual, their own biomechanics. It's whether or not they're flexible enough in their hips and the back and the glutes to get down to parallel. And Nate's a pretty flexible guy, so he can do almost a narrow stance around there. But if he had struggled, if he couldn't get down all the way with a narrow stance, a lot of times just widen your stance out a little bit farther, engages the hips more, and makes it easier for them to get down to parallel. And a lot of times powerlifters, you get not powerlifting wide stance from, they widen their stance and then point their toes out a little bit more, just to try to decrease the range of motion that they have to travel with the bar. And it's just it's a really powerful position to be able to get into, to engage your quads, your glutes, your hamstring, everything gets involved, your hips. Alright, performing the back squats. You want to get in a nice comfortable position with your feet. You want your chest up, your hips back. You want your head in a neutral position, looking forward. And start the movement. I want you to engage it and drop your butt back. Because when you're going down, so go down real fast, begin it. Drop that butt back, and you want to keep your knees back behind your toes. It's important, keep your knees behind your toes. And make sure you want to get the depth all the way down to parallel. This is actually below parallel because he's very flexible and got great technique. But you want to make sure that your butt and leg become parallel with the floor. And that's when you know you're at the bottom of a squat. Now, you're going to do a couple reps for me. Next. Down. Up. Nice controlled on the way down and explode back on the way up. That's the way you like to be performed. Right. Alright, next lift we have is the front squats. And to start off, we got to go with hand placement. You want to be about shoulder width and possibly a little bit wider. The wider you are, it's really to help with stability, really to help you to control the bar while it's in front of you. And I want you to do is kind of dig in. Go ahead and get in. Here you go. He digs into it deep and gets it to come across. He wants it to sit on the shelf created by your front delts and going all the way across. It's a little shelf and your hands placed behind it. That's where you want to be at, and then stabilize it and able to hold it tight to your body. You want it to feel tight and comfortable when it comes to it. All right, lift off. Sorry, lift off, take a couple steps forward. And for foot placement, you want it to be similar to the back squat. It's really subjective to your flexibility and how comfortable you are with the movement. Toes slightly turned out, possibly. It just depends on all of your own ability and flexibility. And you initiate the movement the same way as the back squat. That's where you drop your hips back and then go down into a parallel. Go ahead and show it for me. And back up. Very nice. Do a couple more reps for me just to... And it's really important when you're performing this lift is to keep that back flat. You need to have a flat back. Because a lot of times with the weight being in the front, it's going to make you want to roll your roll your back over when you're doing the lift, and it's a place could cause injury. So you want to make sure that back stays tight and flat.
One thing that I personally use to help keep that back in a good solid position is when I'm coming up out of my squat. Just think about my elbows. A lot of people, they'll try to look up. That puts your spine in an odd position. Think about keeping your elbows up. They'll drive forward, and it'll keep it up naturally.
All right, along with front squats, there's people who have shoulder injuries or shoulder pathologies, sometimes getting in this position, holding the bar, is very uncomfortable. It's not good for them. And so we have a couple of alternative ways that you can do it and still be able to front squat. First way is just put the thumbs underneath the bar, like that, crossing the chest, and you want to get it across your shelf of the same shelf, across your collarbones and your front delts. And then you should walk out with it. This relieves all the pressure from your wrists and a lot from your shoulders. You just got to make sure that you keep your elbows up when you're performing the lift. Same as the other ways, elbows up to help keep your back straight. All right. You can go ahead and rack it. And there's also other ways, even if that's too uncomfortable for people, there's also other ways with some weightlifting straps that can be done, where you wrap it around the bar and grab it up top. And so you don't have to flex your shoulders or your delts as much, and it doesn't really get your wrist. It's really up here on it. So.
Alright, we're about to demonstrate the overhead squat. Out of the front squat and back squats, requires the most stability and balance to perform this lift. It's used commonly just with Olympic weightlifters and sometimes CrossFit. But it's a good overall whole body workout. So we're going to talk about grip width or position first. Tyler's right now has a little wider grip, probably about normal to wide. And one of the ways to get the bar up for overhead squat is to do a push press. Go ahead and push that. All right, so he's got it up, stable. One of the keys you want to look for is wrist a little back. You want that bone on bone, because that's where it's stronger instead of bone on muscle or bar, muscle holding the bar. He's showing his armpits, so he's externally rotating. And go ahead and shrug up. You want to not do this because it creates too much tension. You lose stability in there. Shoulder, when you're down in the bottom position, I'll have him show in a minute. You compensate and do a forward torso lean with that. So go ahead and show it. So Tyler's got a good stable position. You want to keep the bar right over the back of the head, so this is good right here. You don't want it too far back. Can you push it far back? Yeah, that's too much pressure on your shoulders. If you're going too forward, you're just going to lean forward and not have stability. When you keep it over the back of your head, it's still keeping the bar in line with your midfoot, where you most balance that. So with a wider grip, it's a weaker overhead position. Like I said, it causes too much internal rotation of the shoulders. With a more narrow grip, it's a stronger position overhead, and it causes showing the armpits, great external rotation right here. You can come back up. So it just depends on your arm length. Some people are taller and stuff, might have all the way to the collars and everything. It's just finding your comfort zone. One of the big things is, besides shoulder mobility, hip mobility is a big thing, because not a lot of people can get all the way down there because their hips are tight or they're not open. So Tyler is flexible enough to do a really, really close stance, but should do a little wider. But this is wider stance allows for more stability. Opens up the hips and allows the person to get down there at the bottom. One of the things someone can work on is taking one of these bars if they can't hold up a 45-pound bar, the women's bar. Because these are lighter bars, and you can work. And you can take a PVC pipe or a broomstick. One of the things you can do to work on mobility and balance and strength is you can do the overhead squat and pause at the bottom for a few seconds on every rep. That allows him to like feel the movement and like feel his bottom position, make sure he's stable before pushing up.
All right, so squats are going to be in all their variations, are going to be the best exercise to build your entire body. If you can only do one exercise, that would be the one I would recommend. Look at a lot of people would say deadlift, but if you look at a lot of power lifters that are at the highest levels, they don't train deadlift very often. They train squat because it has more carryover into the other movements. It's going to train whole body strength. You can train whole body power with it, endurance, everything. It's a fantastic exercise if done correctly.
And the back squat is really the main lift for power for bigger athletes such as offensive linemen, for power athletes who are doing shot put. Just the squat is the gold standard for power exercises. And front squats are really used for more athletic people. People who play basketball, people who play DBs and running backs in football. It's more obtained for them because it's more centered to your front and moving forward. It makes them more explosive players. And overhead squats are really just the best overall core full body exercise there is on it. It's a major core or workout that requires a lot of stability and a lot of balance and coordination to be able to do it, to pull it off.
With overhead squat and front squat, the more self-correcting exercises, you don't technically need a spotter for either one. And they're a lot easier to bail out of compared to a back squat.
Yeah, and also if you cannot perform a front squat, like your elbows will drop or something like that, it'll show you weaknesses in your squat. So if you can perform a proper front squat or overhead squat, you're going to perform a proper back squat. And the squat is like a full body lift, so it is technical, and like you have that proper shoulder mechanics, back, like lower body, everything. So a lot of people cannot perform it properly, so it's an important thing to address and work with in order to perform like properly.
All right, we are Globo Gym, and that's the squat.